Hey folks, John with Alternate Arms, your friend in less than lethal self-defense. Y'all know why we're here, right? Y'all know why, you know why we're here. Should we go ahead and get to it? Oh yeah, let's rock. Guys, first off, I am sorry this has taken so long to get to this video. Obviously, Byrna was shipping out a bunch of them. They were out a little late last week, but they did get out, and obviously we are this makes noise. I can't wait to see what we got in this box. So you know what? I'm not going to waste any time whatsoever, guys. We're going to unbox this thing. As you can see on the bench here, we have got our trigger pull tester. We are going to check the exact size of these rounds, and we're going to check the exact weight of these rounds. And by the way, when we get to that, there's been a lot of confusion on how they are advertising these as 41.9 joules per square inch, okay? We're going to bring in an expert once we get to that point so that we can talk a little bit about that. There is a reason they did it. There are other people that are going to this form of measurement, and I want you guys to understand it very clearly. It will make sense once we get to that part. So, all right, without further ado, I'm gonna move all this stuff over here, guys. We got Stumpy aimed down here, and I wanna make sure we don't miss a thing. All right, let's crack this thing open and see what we got. I don't know about you guys, but I've been pretty excited about this. I am stoked, I cannot wait. Here we go. And I did not open this when it came in this afternoon. A lot of you were watching my community section. It came in about, 2 o'clock. And my wife ran down and grabbed it and brought it over. And I'm like, not going to touch it. Waiting for you guys. That's right. All right. Let's see what we got in the box. Let's see. That tells us everything. So we don't need to be looking at that now, do we? All right. First off, paper. I'm going to put that over there. Yeah. New studio. Okay. In the box, it looks like they sent us, they sent us an assortment of ammo, guys. Take a look at this. See what we've got in here. Now, I don't know if they have created the pepper rounds for it. All right, so it looks like we've got, guys, those are the Byrna Max 61 caliber. That is, for those of you who know what this is some really, really nasty stuff. I'm glad they sent that because I didn't think these were even ready yet. So we've got 5 of the Byrna Max rounds, which I probably won't be firing at Luke, although that would be funny. I don't get that. And now we got 95 of the Kinetic 61 caliber rounds. Guys, are you noticing something? It's the same size jar as the other one, except we have padding on the bottom and air at the top. If that doesn't give you an idea of the difference in size on these rounds. Now, that's something we were expecting, all right? And I'm not going to lie to you, another thing that threw me off on this was if you're going from a 68 caliber to a 61 caliber, it didn't physically seem like that big of a drop to me, but it is substantial. And once again, when we bring on our expert here, he'll tell you about that here in just a second, so you'll get a kick out of that. All right, so we got something to fire. That's important. We've got Byrna. Okay, now guys, this is one of the things that's interesting about this, and I don't want you to freak about it. These are the 8-gram CO2 cartridges, just like in the Byrna HD, the SD, and the EP, all right? 8-gram CO2s. They are not hard to get. They're inexpensive, but they are smaller. So, and I'll give you guys a little shot of that so you can see, kind of like little tiny ones. And as you can see, they do include an oil cartridge in every one of the Byrna kits to run through the launcher now and then. Honestly, guys, your CO2 has a natural lubricant in it. So your launcher is getting lubricated every single time you fire it. So just FYI. All right. We're going to get to it. Yes, we are. Get rid of this box over there. Check it out. Now, this is that same new packaging, guys, that we saw on the that last video that whenever I said Byrna had stepped up their packaging quite a bit. Now, guys, listen. Oh, by the way, everybody notice this? Hey, check it out. Let me give you a closer view of that. Anybody see that? Just FYI. And I want you guys to know this. This is about to become merch on the channel. This is a desk mat. I have a couple of bigger versions coming in and a couple of design changes, but this will be available shortly. You guys have been asking what you can do to help the channel. I'm trying to come up with ideas for you. this is one of those things we'll be able to do. So I'll keep you posted on that. Now, let's crack this thing open. One thing about Byrna cases, guys, they open upside down. That sounds stupid, right? But the truth is, if you open it this way and open it like this guy, and I'll show Stumpy this. If you open it like this and open it, it's upside down. You literally push in, pull the clips, right? Now, common sense would say you'd open it this way, but then you flip it over and you open the launcher from this side. Whoa, there it is. And I got the orange one, guys. I did not know what to expect here. Looks like we got a card. This is the Byrna CL warning label here. Ensure the CO2 is firmly pressed. Yep, the CO2 must be free. We know all this stuff. Oh, to ensure oh, we did not know this. Now, this is new, guys. To ensure optimal performance, shoot 30 rounds with standard CO2 canisters. Following this, run 1 oil canister through the system. Kind of important. So just keep that in mind, which is ironic because you could probably get 30 rounds. Yeah, you can get 30 rounds out of that. So, all right. As you can see, we got our Byrna card here. And here is the launcher. Now, this is packaged a lot like the HD and the SD were, guys. So you've got the launcher itself. You've got kinetic rounds. You've got pepper rounds. And it looks like you should have eco-kinetic if they actually got to doing that. Let's see here. These are the training. I don't even know what those are. We're going to have to crack that open. These are all totally sealed, guys, so we're going to have to get into that. But these are both listed as kinetic projectiles, and this is a pro training, so there may not be pepper rounds in here. We don't care. We got a whole bottle of these things to test up, so that's really not going to be a problem. Now, before we get to, and I got to show you the size of this launcher, guys. It is tiny. All right, I got a cell phone here. Got an iPhone. All right, here we go. I'm going to take said iPhone, since they did this on the video here. I'm going to take iPhone, and I'm going to put this right next to it. There you go. If that gives you an idea what the size of the launcher is. Now, to make this a little more understandable, let's take an actual launcher. Let's take one of the T4E Glocks. All right? Standard T4E Glock, and let's compare it side by side. Here's the Byrna. Here's the Glock. Y'all see the difference? It is considerably smaller than the Glock. I mean, like, considerably. And way lighter, guys. I mean, like, that weighs nothing. It is really, really light. And up till now, the smallest, what they would actually consider an actual less than lethal launcher has been the Byrna, or the Umarex HTP50 Compact. Guys, look here. It's even bigger. It's even larger in the front. Look at that. So this is a very tiny launcher. I mean, that's the smallest launcher I've ever seen. So, all right. So here's what we're going to do. What I want to do is I want to weigh this ammo first because I am really curious about this. Just to kind of overview this, you know this fires exactly like an SD, exactly like an LE, like an EP. They're all the same. So drop a magazine here with this button. That'll drop your mag. Oh, that's such a cute little magazine. You do get 2 in there, by the way, which is kind of cool. Once again, you unscrew right here. Oh, does that have the, it does. I was going to say, does it have the Allen key built into the magazine? And it does. To unscrew here to put in the 8-gram cartridge. Now, we're going to do that here in just a second and get it loaded and ready to go. But first things first, I want to know a little about this ammo. So, the Byrna rounds, the typical 68 caliber Byrna rounds, all right, they weigh in at about 3.1 to 3.2 grams on average. All right, I want to see, number one, how heavy these are, and then I want to measure the dimension. It feels that can't be, oh, I'm gonna guess, maybe 2 grams, maybe. Let's check it out. So, got our little scale here. I'm gonna make sure Stumpy is zoomed in so we got no movie magic here. We're gonna see it together, and hopefully you guys are seeing that number there. All right, turning it on. We are zeroed out and weighing it. How long have I been doing it, guys? 2.09 grams. Let's weigh another one. Let's just see if we're getting any consistency out of the box. So 2.09 is where we're starting. Get back to 0. There we go. 2.0, up 2.10. 2.08. 2.08. And we'll do another one. 2.07. So, 2 grams. 2.07 to 2.1, right? We're right in that range. That is considerably lighter. considerable. And as far as the diameter of it goes, just to let you know, I've got my caliper here. All right, so we got this measured right now in millimeters. So here we go, guys. I'm going to open her up. Let's measure the exact diameter of it. Look, it is 15.3 millimeters. Exactly. 15.3. Okay? So, what we know so far is that the rounds are smaller. The rounds are considerably lighter than the 68 cal, which we expected. That was completely expected. Now, one other thing I want to check on this, guys, since we know we're dealing with that smaller round, I want to check the inner diameter of this barrel and see, because something about that number seems a little weird to me. I mean, if it's 15.3 millimeter, and I'll let our expert here jump on this here in a second, but it seems like that's right at a little lower than a 61 caliber. But let's find out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the inner diameter of the barrel currently. Hang on 1 second here. And let's see what we get. We are at 15.3. So that makes sense, right? 15.3 on the rounds, 15.3 on the barrel. All right. So, but that does lead an interesting question. Now, before we go any further on this, I want to explain this 61, 68 caliber and why they're measuring the joule ratings. And I've always believed that you should always defer to one smarter than yourself. So hang on 1 sec. I'm going to bring Luke in here. You've met him. He's going to whiteboard this thing for you guys. I want you to understand exactly what's going on. Here we go. All right, guys. So I'm smart enough to know what I don't know. All right. Luke here is a numbers genius, and I want him to give us a rundown on, number one, why that joule rating has changed on the page, why they did it, what it actually means, and what it's going to mean for either the kinetic energy and certainly the amount of powder that's going downrange. So Luke, take it away and show them what I don't know.
Okay, so pen and paper out, class is in session. My name is John Reynolds. If you haven't seen the previous videos, I'm actually his son. The way that this works, we're going to start with the claim. So the claim is 41.9 joules per square inch. Now, for those of you who haven't taken physics classes, or maybe it's been a couple decades, this may look alien, which I totally understand. We don't care about joules per square inch, we care about joules, right? That's the number everybody's familiar with. So I'm going to convert this 41.9 joule per square inch into joules. The way this is going to work, we're going to start with the diameter of the round, turn that into radius. Pi r squared gives you the area of a circle, and then we multiply it by this 41.9 and we'll get the amount of joules it's firing. Really easy. So 0.61 inches for your diameter. I'm going to take out my handy dandy calculator. 0.61 divided by 2, it's 0.305. We're going to go ahead and square that, multiply times pi. We're dealing with 0.29 square inches on impact with a 61 caliber round. We're going to go ahead and multiply that by 41.9. Any guesses on what the joule number is? The total output for this launcher is 12.25 joules. I'm going to write that down. 12.25 joules. That is the output of the launcher. Now, one of the claims that it makes on the website is that it has the exact same impact per square inch as the LE, correct?
Correct, the Byrna LE.
Okay, now, I'm going to put you on the spot. I want you to tell me right now the kinetic energy output of the Byrna LE.
It's on average about 15.5 joules.
Okay, let's go with that. 15.5 joules. Okay, now, we're going to reverse the process that we just did. The diameter this time is 0.68 inches. Okay, 0.68. Can you tell I'm not a teacher? So, we're going to take that 0.68. We're going to divide it by 2. That gives us 0.34. We're going to square that, multiply it times pi. Now, with this, you're dealing with 0.36 square inches for impact. Now, we're going to take that number. We're going to divide 15.5 by that. So I'm going to take 15.5, I'm going to divide it by that number. And what do we get? You're going to be pretty surprised. That output in joules per square inch is 42.67. That's pretty close. I think it is fair to say that's about the same, right? Now, your next question is going to be, how can they get the same number with two completely different joule outputs. You're talking about a difference of 3 joules, which is fairly substantial. That is because when you're dealing with, we're going to do 2 circles here. All right, we're going to have 0.61 and 0.68. This joule per square inch, all you're doing is you're taking one of these small squares, and that is your joules per square inch. And you multiply it by all of the squares in the circle, and that gives you this big number, okay? Same thing here, except for now you have way more squares. So that is how you get the same amount per square, but you end up with a different overall joule count.
And what is this going to mean for the amount, like say we're firing pepper rounds,
Yes.
what is it going to do for the amount of pepper that's in the round?
Now, that is actually a question on volume. Now, without writing this out, actually, I'll write it out real quick. The volume of a sphere is 4/3, for those of you who don't know, 4/3 pi r cubed. Now, let's go ahead and take the velocity of, the volume of the LE, and then we're going to have the volume of the CL. Okay? Now, the volume of the LE rounds is going to be 0.68. So we're going to take that 0.68, we're going to divide it by 2 to get the radius. We're going to cube that number times pi times, and then we're going to do times 4/3, okay? So the total overall volume of the 68 caliber rounds is 0.16 cubic inches. Now, for those of you who are into science, I know you get really angry when you see stuff in inches, feet, miles per hour. Sorry, I'm working with it. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing, but for the CL, we're going to take that 0.61 divided by 2. We're going to go ahead and cube that times pi times 4 divided by 3. Now, this might surprise you, 0.11 cubic inches. And if you want to know the difference, we're going to take this, divide it by this. So I'm going to divide it by that last value we got. And you're dealing with the 61 caliber round is about 73% the size of a 68 caliber round, which means it's 27% smaller. So that means that you're getting 73% the volume of pepper gas that you would get out of a 68 caliber round. So you're losing about 27% effectiveness, but you have the benefit of vastly increased velocity, so you could argue that it levels out.
Right. Now, as far as impact value for the round, if we are dealing with a smaller impact area, is that going to be felt on the other end of the round? The receiving end, is it going to be noticeably different or the same as the LE if you're firing a 68 caliber?
Right. So that actually goes on to momentum, and the equation for momentum is just mass times velocity. Now, you are dealing with a relatively significant less mass, but a higher velocity. I would not necessarily say that you're going to get increased effectiveness out of the smaller range, only because or rather the smaller size, only because you're dealing with so much more powder in the 68 caliber. To be honest, I don't think it's a sufficient difference to justify getting the 68 over the 61. The only thing that I would say is maybe it would be better to bump this joule amount up, just to be able to compete with the larger projectiles.
Yeah. Part of me is wondering also if they will at some point put out different ammunition for this, slightly heavier, that might give it a little more impact value on the other side. Well, Luke, thank you for doing this for us. I know that I kind of put you on the spot with this, and guys, you're gonna. Oh, by the way, you still got a bruise?
Yeah, it's still sort of the touch. This is about what, a week and a half after the scab just came off.
After a 13 joule hit, guys. So that hit was pretty close to what this is going to put out.
Yeah, that did not feel good.
So, all right, guys, be right back with you. Guys, I know what you're thinking. How in the world did someone that's like that come anywhere out of around me? Guys, listen, this is something I wanted you to understand, okay? There is a reason that they did this as far as measurement goes, and let me explain what that reason is. If theoretically the CL is hitting with the same impact value per square inch as the LE, which physically it is. I mean, you can literally go by physics and it is hitting at the same level. That is a true measurement. So there was nothing deceptive in that advertising. It's just something that people are not used to. So it's a little strange for people. Now, we're going to find out what it does because we're going to chrono it here in just a couple minutes and see if we're actually hitting that 12.2 joules. because I don't know about you guys, but I'm curious. So now, first thing we're gonna do, I wanna measure trigger pull. We're going through everything, guys. You may as well grab some freaking popcorn. I'm telling you that now, all right? So we're gonna load up nothing but a CO2 in this, okay? No ammo. In fact, we're gonna do this together. We're gonna drop the magazine and come up to the front here and unscrew the front. Now, this is one thing I'm hoping that somebody will quickly come up with a quick release on this thing, because that's, yeah, it is what it is. But all right, 8 gram CO2. This is going to go nozzle down into the launcher, okay? Then you're gonna put on your cap, and you're gonna secure your cap against the CO2 cartridge. Now guys, you do not have to gorilla this thing, okay? Just get it down to where it's snug, and then you can stop there. Now, one thing that the Byrna's got that we all know about is the pull to puncture on this thing. It looks like it has still, actually, you know what guys, I just noticed? I can't believe I didn't see this. What is that noticeably missing, guys? Look. Anybody? Bueller? There's no safety. This is the same basic design as the EP, which I really liked because it was easy to use. Which means that the first time you pull that trigger, it's going to charge and fire the first round at the same time. That is awesome. I actually really kind of dig that. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, all right, let's do this. Let's break out our gauge and let's check that trigger pull. Now, the initial pull should be a little heavier than the second pull, because on the first pull, you've got to puncture the CO2 and fire the round. So we're gonna test them both. All right, turning on our gauge here. As you can see, we are zeroed out. And I'm going to try to keep this in frame for you guys. No promises. All right, here we go. Putting it on, and we're going to puncture and pull at the same time. All right, first one was 9 pounds, 14 ounces. Now we're going to reset. This one should be considerably lighter. Here we go. Get it on there, pulling. Oh, yeah. 2 pounds. Do you hear the difference in that round, guys? I really hope you did, because that was loud. All right, 2 pounds, 0.14. Let's go again. Oh yeah, look, exactly the same reading, guys. 2.14. All right, next trigger pull. Here we go. 3.10. That may have been me, guys. I felt like I slipped a little on that one. And let's go again. Here we go, zeroed out. 2.4. Guys, that is a light pull. So the first pull, like I said, we expected it to be a little heavier because you're puncturing and firing the first round. But that is a lot of rounds coming out of an 8 gram CO2. So that is actually pretty cool. I did not expect that. All right, tell you what we're gonna do. Let's load this thing up. I know you've been waiting for this part. We wanna go out here and we wanna shoot it. There's something else too that I want Luke to explain that I think would also help a little bit with this, and I may let him take the chrono shot. What do you guys think? Let him get in there and get involved a little bit? I think that'd be fun. All right, so let's go ahead and load this up. No, we're not gonna fire any Byrna Max rounds at Luke. Let's see how many it holds in the magazine here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now guys, one other thing I want to tell you, don't ever do that. Yeah, that happens. All right. 3, 4. Yeah, Byrna's it's kind of like there's Salt Supplies will do that also. And 5. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds in there. Okay. Salt Supplies are like that too. You've got this little plastic release bar right there, and if you touch that thing while you're loading, all your rounds come out like a volcano. It's kind of funny. So, all right, let's get us a fresh CO2 cartridge in here. There we go, and nozzle down. We're going to screw on our cap. We're going to snug our CO2. We're going to get every reading, guys, including the first shot, because that one, if this fires at 12 joules and at 400, right, which is right where they're saying it should, then that means that the first shot should come out at about 200, 7 or 8 joules, because that's just the way it is. You're puncturing and sending it down at half velocity. So, all right, we are now ready to go. So we're going to move out onto the range, and we're going to take a couple shots. Here we go. All right, guys, so as you can see, this is a little different than the normal range we're firing on. So right now we're in Luke's CQB field, and you can see it's nice and bright in here. and we have a very long distance all the way down to that wall. Now, we also did bring, well, a Scully. Now, y'all know how mean this channel is to poor Scully, and he's worried, but we're gonna have to earn the shot, and I'll tell you about that one as soon as we get these readings real quick, all right? So, the first shots, we're just going to go for pure velocity. That's all I'm caring about. I wanna see how fast these rounds are traveling downrange, and try to get 5 chrono readings. We have better light than we ever have before, so we should get good readings, and then we'll take the next step. But Luke did have something else he wanted to explain to you, so I'm gonna put him in. Come on.
All right, so just to give you a number to look for, I know it is technically rated for 400 FPS, but I went ahead and did the math with the weighted projectile as well as the joule count that we came up with, that 12.2 joules. We need to fire at 353 FPS in order to surpass 12.2 joules. That's going to be the magic number. Hopefully we hit 400 because that means that it is actually firing over 12.3 joules, and they actually were a little under on their 41.9 joule per square inch. So
And I have seen them do that before.
yeah, so they might have been underrating it, that would be cool. That's what we want. So let's test this out. All right, so CO2 is currently in the launcher. As you can see, we have all of our rounds here. Hopefully I can get this chrono to act nice with us. You ready?
Yep, you're ready to roll.
And we all have iPro on.
Yes, we do.
Now, I'm gonna take this here. So first full trigger pull.
This is a challenging shot, trust me. Yep.
All right, ready?
No. We expected that.
Yep, that's a light one. 386, 377. I think it likes the lighting.
Yeah.
325, that might have been a bad one. 294.
All right,
Yep.
so
Tapers off a little bit, it's good.
wait a minute. Now, I'm not the math pro here. Our first shot, we know, comes out at half velocity. That is expected, okay? We know this because Byrna punctures and fires the first round. So if you take that and actually do it correctly, and unless my monkey math is off, the first round was right at 330 FPS. Second round was around, did I hear 380?
380.
380. So what's a 380 round doing in this size? Check this out, guys. I knew it. I knew there was something weird about this.
So that's 120 meters per second. If we're doing kinetic energy is 1/2 mv squared, I'm gonna square that number. We're gonna multiply it by that, let's see, the mass, which is 2 grams, right? 2.1?
Yep.
2.1 divided by 1,000, divided by 2. 15.1 joules.
15.1 joules.
That's a good sign.
All right. Then we saw it drop off of the 15.1 and it ended up right around the 300 range. So this is exactly what we expected to see, but it's more with the second shot. Now, can it repeat it? Of course it can. Let's show you. All right, guys, so I am gonna take 5 and let's see if we actually get the same chrono readings. Fresh CO2, fresh rounds, and here we go. Then we're gonna do something fun with it. All right, we are loaded up and taking the first shot. We know it's gonna be low, so we don't care. 386, guys, consistency. Is that 398? 398, 364, 322, guys. That is the numbers I wanted to see. That's impressive. We're gonna go over these numbers when we go back in here, but since it fires so well, we're gonna load it up again and have some fun. Here we go. All right, guys, so as you can see, we got Scully in a pan. No, we're not gonna cook a Scully. Scully in a pan. Now, from the shooting distance we're gonna be at, I'm gonna pace this off, guys, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 15 feet. We're gonna put Luke here to take that 15-foot shot. Then, we're gonna bring in a guest. Here we go. Luke, hop on up.
All right, let's do this. Let's see, roughly 15 feet. First shot's gonna be a little weak, that's fine.
All right, here we go. Well, you got him. And again. And again. All right, hold on here. Let's let's take a peek at Scully here.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Well, all right. No movie magic. Let's bring it on up here. And we'll show you the hits. Looks like we got a hit here, here, here. We embedded here. That must have been when he went down. Yes, so we did definitely hit a Scully.
Back of the head. I think that was the on the ground.
Is that the on the ground one? Yep, that's your on the ground hit right there. Pretty awesome, right? Now, I want to try something a little unique. We've never done this before on the show. We're going to bring in a guest shooter. Here we go. All right, so we got Igor here. He's actually an employee of my son down here at the airsoft field, but he's never actually fired one of these. So this is going to be a new thing for him. So I've got your Byrna for you here. Here's your magazine.
Sir?
Your target is Scully. He must not get away.
Right.
He keeps stealing crock pots.
Oh, yeah?
Now that first round will come out weak. Now it comes out harder. All right. Yeah, we got a few more hits on Scully there that time. Like pretty much every hit on Scully. Oh, we lodged more. We lodged more, guys. Look here. Now, the first time he shot, right, it moved to the side. Then he lodged here. Then, now this is denser plastic. So that's actually a very good hit. Very good hit. All right, there's a couple other things I want to run over with this launcher. Let's go back in the studio and I want to get Luke's other opinion on something else. So here we go. All right, guys, so look, I know that you guys were a little off-put by 12 joules. We were too. I know that you were probably a little off-put by the way it was advertised. We were too, all right? But at the end of the day, the results from the testing kind of played out better than what they put on paper. And that is pretty normal for Byrna. They do that. They'll typically underestimate their launchers a little bit, so when you get them, they're firing a little bit harder. Now, one thing that we tried off camera that I cannot believe we didn't think about is you can run 3 mags through this and they maintain velocity up to the 3rd mag, which means that first round, pow, bam, 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 drop a mag, slap a mag, bam, 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 just like that. You're gonna maintain those velocities, which is awesome. So you're gonna get way more than 1 mag out of it, and you've already punctured it, so you've got full velocity on the shot. That's actually pretty cool too. Now, I wanna get Luke's opinion on something here. He's fired a couple of the less than lethals, and I mean, the last thing he fired was a pistol. So we're coming off of that to a Byrna. You can imagine there's a little bit of a shock there. But Luke, come around here. I want you to explain something to me. So,
okay.
You saw the penetration we were seeing on Scully. All right. Do you think that penetration is a direct result of the fact that you're firing a smaller round at a higher velocity? Is that what we're seeing?
Yes. So especially whenever you're dealing with something that isn't 100% dense, the amount of energy per square inch does actually matter. So if you're dealing with in physics we use extremes to explain concepts. So if you have 2 objects that are firing with the same joules, let's say 10 joules, you have a bowling ball at 10 joules and you have a marble at 10 joules. That marble at 10 joules is going to penetrate significantly deeper than the bowling ball at 10 joules. Right now we have that pinball shooting at 12.2 joules, which is why you're seeing increased penetration as opposed to the LE. If we were to do the exact same test with the LE, guarantee you wouldn't get the same amount of penetration.
Right. And on these shots, as you saw, they underestimated that velocity. I mean, we were seeing, almost up to 300. In one case, it was 290 something, right?
398.
Yeah, I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, that's putting it up into the, 16 joule range?
Yep, that puts us at 16 joules.
Right, so, and we never dropped below the 12 joule range, which means that it stayed where it was supposed to be or performed significantly better through every round we put through it, aside from the first round. And we know why that's the case, right? I mean, it is what it is. It's a Byrna. You sacrifice the need to puncture with your hand or with some other twist method in order to get that pull to pierce, but you sacrifice that first round. So just keep in mind, if you're using one for self-defense, you don't just fire 1 round. You need to fire until the target has been, dissuaded from their attitude. Yes, yeah, you properly issue that correction.
In reference to shot consistency, this is actually interesting. We noticed that you would obviously get 380, 390 FPS out of those first couple of shots. It would taper off a little bit down to 330 to 350, but then it would stay there until it was almost empty, which is that's a really good design. That means you're getting incredible consistency with the shots, and that means that you actually have a really efficient gas system in there, because if you had issues with the actual gas system, you would see a massive drop in FPS after 5 to 6 shots, which we didn't. After it got to that 330 to 350, it stayed there, which was good.
And correct me if I'm wrong, when we talked about doing this initial testing, one of the things that I think both of us were very, very concerned about this launcher.
Yeah.
And it's because of the advertising, and it was because of the power. We were both very concerned. In fact, we talked about it ad nauseum for the last couple of weeks, and we were really worried about what we were going to see. So given that, would you say that your opinion of it is better or worse than what you thought it was going to be when we received it?
Significantly better. I mean, I am glad that Byrna is underrating it. That's actually a really good sign for the performance of the launcher itself. So you're talking about shooting 30% or 40% harder than an HCP 50, 100% harder than a 7.5 joule HCP 50, and you're dealing with a much more compact size, and you're still getting around the same shots out of its smaller CO2. It's the efficiency on this thing's off the scales.
All right, now speculation.
Okay.
Speculation. So if we're firing, when it comes to the weight of the rounds and a CO2 launcher, there is a point of diminishing returns where the weight will overcome the amount of pressure you can put behind the round, especially when you're dealing with a barrel that is that long, okay? In your opinion, if we were firing a round that was around, say, 4 to 5 grams, do you think we're going to see a performance increase or decrease, or do you think it would make a difference?
Okay, I'm about to, so just based off of the equation, you would think it's the same, right? But I'll explain to you why it's not. Your assumption is as the mass goes up, the velocity is going to go down, which is technically correct, but something that you don't think about possibly is what is called joule creep. Now, this is technically something that we use in airsoft, but this does translate over because it is an air gun.
Correct.
Now, joule creep occurs whenever a projectile is in the barrel for a longer amount of time because it is under that exact same pressure for a greater period of time. So that is why on the TR50 or TR68, whichever one it is, when you get that barrel extension, that is why you get greater power out of it, because that pressure is on that round for a longer period of time prior to it exiting. Same exact thing, if you increase the mass of the projectile, that means obviously it's going to take more time for that momentum to build up velocity, so you're technically under pressure for a longer period of time, so you should theoretically get a greater joule count, which we can absolutely verify that whenever we get some heavier 61 cal.
Yeah, and I have it on good authority that there are a couple of people that are currently working on that, so hopefully we will have some. I would say, and this is just me personally, I would never fire an aluminum round through that because you have the potential of damaging the barrel. But if you've got a coated round, maybe a polypropylene, plastic, or rubber steel, which I am seeing coming at some point for this thing, I have a feeling you may see an increase. I really do.
Let's get some 3 grams.
Yeah, 3 grams would be great. Yeah, 3 or maybe even 4 grams. That'd be awesome. Maybe steel cord.
Yep.
You know, that would be cool. Maybe iron, you know, like iron fused nylon. That would be awesome too. So I suspect that we're going to see a lot of that coming out. And also remember, guys, this is one of the first iterations of this launcher. It hasn't been seen at all out there. In fact, this may be the first time you're actually seeing it on a video. By the way, hand me that JPX Firestorm. Yeah, I think I found the only launcher in here that is even remotely close to the same size. All right, this is the JPX Firestorm. Check this out. It's even smaller than the Firestorm, guys.
Wow.
Seriously, this is a very tiny launcher. Oh, and one other thing I did forget to mention on this thing, which is pretty cool, is it does have optics. You can change the optics on there using that plate right there, and we will be doing that on a future video because I've got one just for this. The sighting is a little wild on it. Okay, so you've got removable little sights. You can actually pull those out and change the colors or whatever. On a standard Byrna, if you've ever fired it, you notice when you pull the trigger, you actually get a little thing that pops up in the center here that lets you know if the launcher is actually loaded, right? Well, on this one, because it pops up so high, it would obscure your sight view, all right? Get out of the way. I want to point this at you. All right, there we go. So I'm going to pull the trigger, and I want you to watch this, guys. See that come up? Now, more importantly, when you turn it, it aligns with the sights, which means that you can't actually see that when you fire it. It does not obscure your sight view. Pretty cool, right? And I'm finding out little things about this all over the place, like the little tiny Picatinny rail down here, so you can, you know, put a laser on it, and it's a great little design. I think we're seeing early iterations of this. I think you're going to, once this gets out in the field, you're going to start seeing people making ammo for it. We will see other 61 caliber pepper rounds. You know that. You've seen the people that produce them. that are really nasty. And I think we're going to see some improvements on this as it goes along. It's early. It really is. But overall, I approve of it. I like it. I mean, it kind of surprised me. I mean, I did not expect to see 16 joules coming out of it at all. And the fact that we did means that they're underestimating like they normally do. But pretty cool. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This, I know it's been long. And if you stayed this long, you're awesome. And thank you so much for that. We're going to start the PCP rifle videos here shortly on the other channel. I'll let you know when that happens. And I have a couple more tests planned for this one too, including a couple of head-to-heads. So we'll have some fun with that. Have a great weekend, guys, and be safe out there. Bye-bye.